Hi everyone, so I thought today I would do a tortoise enclosure tour. I don't think I've done one since we moved house, and a lot of you guys have been requesting tortoise videos, and I'm not too sure what to do in terms of tortoise videos. So maybe I've been thinking about like a fun facts about tortoises. So let me know in the comments or give this video a thumbs up if that's something that you guys would like to see. I thought I'd start with just her enclosure at the moment and what it's looking like. So this is Sheldon. She is we think she's a female anyway. Obviously we got her when she was a bit younger and it was a bit more difficult to tell. You can't tell when they're too young very easily. So yeah, we think now she's a girl, and she's a Hermann's tortoise, which is a Mediterranean species. We think she's a Eastern Hermann's. So there we go, the deer of her. She's doing really well. She didn't hibernate this year because I know everyone's been wanting a hibernation video. She didn't hibernate, and that was because we were in the middle of moving, and you've just got to make sure that you're doing it right, and it takes a lot of work to hibernate them and make sure they're doing well. So we didn't want to risk it and put her through it. We thought we'd just overwinter her this year. So she's just chomping down on some. She's got some dandelions, some different varieties of grasses, and then that's sort of topped up with a few bits of wild rocket and a few sort of baby leaf lettuce bits. And if you want to check out my tortoise diet video, sort of generally I don't recommend feeding vegetables of any kind to tortoises. Their sort of natural diet would be grasses, wild weeds and flowers, and this is why her vegetables and, well, this is why her food is always so crushed, because she just stomps over the top of it. But yeah, generally I don't recommend feeding this sort of stuff, but obviously over the winter nothing grows as well as it does normally, so sort of her winter diet, if she's being overwintered, does have to be supplemented with other bits that you can buy from the shops. So there is a article on this from the Tortoise Trust. I think it's called Overwintering Your Tortoise or something like that, and they recommend a diet there, so we're pretty much just following that. We did used to grow her weeds over the winter for when she was overwintering, but yeah, like I say, we moved. We ended up leaving the trays of weeds at our old place, and yeah, we didn't do that this year, so it is unfortunately having to be supplemented with shop bought stuff, which isn't ideal, but there we go. That's what she's eating. So this is her enclosure at the moment. So we did take away her second level, and that's just because she wasn't actually using it. And the ramp where it sat used up quite a lot of floor space, so if she wasn't going to use the top bit of it, it was sort of wasting space rather than giving her extra space. But there she is. So she is now 8 years old, because we've obviously got all her paperwork. She was hatched in 2010. So we didn't have her from a hatchling. She was already a couple of years old when we got her, because I do get comments about her shell, and she is, I mean, it's not pyramiding badly, but she's not got a completely flat shell, as you can see here. So it is really difficult to achieve that in captivity anyway, because you're trying to sort of recreate everything. So we try and recreate her environment and her diet as best as possible, but you can never get it quite right. And when we got her, she was being fed on a diet of just kale and peppers. So obviously that's had a slight impact. So she's never going to have a completely flat shell, but it's not anything major. So there we go. And so this white stuff here has just been sprinkled. It's some Nutribol, which is a calcium and vitamin D3 supplement for reptiles. So it's just been sprinkled with that, and that's because her food where she originates from, basically the soil would be a lot higher in calcium, so the food as a result would be, so you just have to supplement that. Yeah, I'm annoying her. I'll leave her go a little bit. So over in this corner we have her thermometer. So this is one that So actually it's a bit covered up, so the reading probably won't be too accurate. But there's the sort of probe, and it tells me here the temperature in her basking area and also out of her basking area. I also have a humidity meter here, which just gives me an idea on how humid her enclosure is. And for this species, it should be relatively dry environment. So there we go. So this is a little log hide. So she doesn't spend a huge amount of time in here. To be honest, she mostly sleeps in this one, but it's somewhere else for her to go. And obviously different microclimates as well. It's really important to have lots of different places in different areas where they can go and hide, and so they can regulate their temperature and their fluid loss. And yeah, there we go. So this in the corner here is an artificial plant, and I've had some comments about these before, and no, she's never tried to eat them. It's just there for decoration mostly, and to make it look and feel a little bit more natural for her. There's another artificial one here. This is a fern. Most of the sort of things like this that I've got in her enclosure are from swell reptiles. Again, an artificial cactus. This is a cuttlefish, and this is for her to chew on. Is that the right word? To bite down on, to keep her beak in shape, basically. Tortoises' beaks can become overgrown, and it's also a good source of calcium. Lots of pebbles in here just to provide another sort of surface for her to walk over, and it makes it feel a little bit more natural again. She quite likes to sleep here with her head resting on a pebble, which obviously gets a little bit warmer under the light. That is a cat rock. That I got given for Christmas, and I thought Sheldon might quite like it as a companion. So tortoises in the wild are solitary animals. They only really come together to either fight for territory or to mate, and then they sort of go along their way again. So she doesn't need a friend. I get that question quite a lot. She's not lonely. That's sort of a tortoise. That's a human emotion that we're sort of portraying onto her, because we'd be lonely by ourselves. We sort of assume all other animals would be. But that's not the case. She is a solitary animal in the wild, and it is quite difficult to keep multiple tortoises together in captivity, and it sort of comes with a whole host of other problems. So that's why she's on her own, but she has a cat for company, so it's okay. So over there is another plant, another pretend one from Swell Reptiles. She's also got a bendable bridge there which belonged to one of the hammies, and I just thought I'd put it in there to again provide another texture. She really likes climbing up here. We've sort of built up this corner. She's flattened it out a bit, but when we first clean her out, we have all these different sort of areas that she can go on. And also by sort of breaking up her enclosure with all of these different things, it makes her feel like it's bigger as well. This is an egg. Again, we found it in the garden, so there we go, Sheldon, have an egg. And another cuttlefish there, so that's a newer one because this one was getting a little bit she does enjoy them. Again, another fern thing from Swell Reptiles, again just to break up her enclosure and make it a bit more natural for her, and she likes brushing past it, but again she's never tried to eat it. And in the corner there she has a rock which I think came from Pet's Corner, which was a pet shop that used to be near where we lived, but we don't live there anymore. But that she likes climbing over, and I think it'd be good for keeping her nails down as well. So yeah, that's that. So this huge thing here is a feeding slate. So the idea with this is I feed her on top of here, and it means that the substrate doesn't stick to her food, so she doesn't end up ingesting a lot of it, which could obviously cause a blockage. So yeah, we feed her on this. It looks a bit over the top actually. It's one that we found, someone had obviously laid a slate floor, and this was an offcut that they were throwing out, so probably a little bit over the top, but there we go. This is a rock that we found in the park. So there seems to be a bit of a trend going around at the moment where these different companies paint a rock and then it's got a thing on the back that says post a pic on Facebook page, keep, replace or rehide me. So we might rehide it at some point, but for the minute I thought it would look really cute in there with Sheldon. So she's got another couple of little friends, and I love pandas. So here we have her water bowl, I guess. She can soak herself in there as well, but she's not very good at drinking, so we do give her a soak sort of every 2 or 3 days, just because she doesn't really seek out water like that. She's not very good at having a drink, so we sort of have to force soak her a little bit. There we go. And this is a spider plant. This is actually a live plant. I'm not very good at keeping them alive. In Sheldon's enclosure we did have sort of 3 or 4 real cactuses and things in here, but they just seem to shrivel up under the light. But this isn't too far, this isn't too close to the light even, so as long as I remember to water it, it should stay a little bit more alive. And this is a tortoise safe plant, so she could eat this if she wanted to. She hasn't actually tried, but the option's there, and I quite like how it sort of part covers that, so it's more of like a secret little hide for her. But yes, a plant that I haven't killed yet. Woo! And this one is another bendable bridge. It used to be lots of different fun colours, but it sort of faded under her light. And this one belonged to the guinea pigs, but it ended up being a little bit small for them really. It's not a big one, but it's big enough for her. Oh, Sheldon, you are grumpy today. So this is her lamp basically. So we use the Arcadia D3 bulb. I think it's the 100 watt, but I might need to check that. And it's a combined heat and UV bulb. So tortoises, as well as needing heat because they're cold-blooded, they also need UV light, and that helps them to digest their food and to sort of get the nutrients out of their food. So that is really, really important for tortoises. So some people have a strip light that provides UV and a separate heat bulb. These ones are initially probably more expensive for the combined bulbs, but I quite like how it does both in one. And reading up on it, it's quite important to have it shining downwards and not, some people will clamp a lamp on the side that sort of shines that way, and there's been reports that can damage your tortoise's eyes. So it is quite important that it's hanging sort of directly down. And I don't know why there's a leaf up here. And the system that we've got to do this is probably not ideal. It's with a couple of ribbons sort of tied on, one on here to keep it level and one on there, otherwise it is hanging at an angle. But it just means that we can sort of lower and higher it to adjust her temperatures, because we sort of haven't got central heating in this room. We've got a log burner, so it means that the temperatures can be a bit wonky, so we can adjust it quite easily just by lowering and hiring her lamp and making sure the temperature is right for her. Oh, there she is. And she's got a couple more friends up here, and I don't know why they're quite so dirty. I think this one must have fallen in there with her at some point. So she's got these couple of little tortoise friends. She's also got a few monkey friends looking down on her from up here. So she's got lots of friends, so she's not going to be lonely. Oh, she's found the dandelion. Dandelion's probably her favourite thing, isn't it? I forgot to mention the substrate. This substrate is a soil and sand mix. It's topsoil with a little bit of children's play sand mixed in. I don't use a lot of sand because there's been quite a few reports of it causing eye irritation or causing issues if it's ingested, but that's partly why I've got the feeding slate to prevent that as well. I do have a tortoise substrate video, which I'll again link in the description bar. but overall sort of a soil mix is the most natural, at least for this species of tortoise, for Mediterranean tortoises. And yeah, it means that they can dig shallow scrapes to regulate their fluid loss. It's natural, it's non-flammable, which is always a bonus. And yeah, but like I say, I've got more information in my Substrate video, which I will link down below. So this tortoise table is a handmade one. This one, my friend who is a carpenter actually made it for me out of recycled materials. So it was free, I think. So yeah, I'll link my video on making it down below. We have had to adjust the size slightly since making it because we were living in a huge house, so we had so much room for enclosure. So we have taken about 1 foot off the size, which luckily she doesn't seem to have noticed. And sort of hopefully later down the line we can sort of make it a little bit bigger again. But I'll show you the space that she is in here. So she's in the corner, so we've got a unit here and then the sofa's here. So we literally didn't have any more room to fit her in, so we did have to adjust the size slightly. But it's still a really good size for her. You can see her there compared to the size of the enclosure. And it's still a much better size for her than her original one, which was a shop bought one. That was fine for her sort of as a juvenile, but now she's got a little bit bigger and a little bit older. She did need something a bit better. So there it is. I'm really happy with how it's looking at the moment, especially this corner. I love how sort of natural looking it is. And I like how I've been able to incorporate a real plant that's tortoise safe without totally killing it yet, but it is only a matter of time. So there's Shelly Belly, and there's her enclosure at the moment. Oh yeah, dandelions are her favourite thing, and she's managed to find them at the bottom of the pile. And on the front here she's just got a little beware of the tortoise sign with the little Hermans. And that again was from Pet's Corner, I think. And yeah, because she's clearly so vicious. But there she is. Yeah, give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment if you would like to see a facts about tortoise video, or if you've got any other tortoise related video ideas, then let me know. And I will see you guys later. Bye! Let me show you how it goes. Love's the word, spins the vibe. Love is the color, freak what you want. I like the way you work it. No diggity, I'm about to bag it up. Bag it up. I like the way you work it. No diggity, I'm about to bag it up. I like the way you work it. No diggity, I'm about to bag it up. Bag it up. I like the way you work it. And I got this soul. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.